You're listening to the Pants Off Podcast with Clark Bartram and Jeremy Jackson.
CBT's Performance Apparel, where fashion meets performance. Upload your custom design or grab the CBT's Deal of the Week at clarkstees.com. The podcast with CB and JJ is sponsored by Providence Video Productions in Escondido, California, providers of full creative video and audio production services. Utilizing state-of-the-art professional equipment for all your broadcast needs. Webpage, embedded or live streaming videos and podcasts. Aerial drone videography. Music videos, 3D animation, studio and field production. Contact us at providencevid.com.
Yo, what is going on? We are live here on the Pants Off Podcast with CB and JJ. But I'm going to be doing it a little bit different today. Jeremy Jackson's not going to be here. I don't have a guest, but I do have my man, my producer, my good buddy, an awesome person, Mr. Jim Brook, in the house today. He's running the wheels of steel. He's doing his thing, and he's also going to be talking with me today. Jim, welcome to the Pants Off Podcast.
Hey, Clark.
All right, turn that music off. I have him multitasking right now, so you're going to have to bear with us as we gather our bearings today on the Pants Off Podcast and, bring you a show that hopefully is going to inspire you, encourage you, and get you thinking about your life. Because really, that's what the Pants Off Podcast is all about. It is about just trying to bring you information that's going to make you think about where you're at in life. And with that being said, Jim, I don't really have any agenda today. I just wanted to continue this going because in life, I think if you lose your momentum, a lot of times it's really easy to lose your flow, right? We have a lot of intentions in life and we make these promises to ourselves. Like fitness is a big one. And we get started. And for whatever reason, we get off track and we lose our momentum. Therefore, we don't continue in the flow to get us to where we want to go. So I wanted to stay on the show. Look, the show must go on. It doesn't matter if I have a guest or not. And I am here today to try and bring you that encouragement, like I said. So with that being said, Jim, you got anything on your mind? Anything you want to talk about? You've sat here for a long time listening to these things, and I know you got a lot to say. You're a man of a lot of wisdom. I just got to say that, man.
Well, what's on you? What's going on with you? I mean, I don't. It's your show.
It's everyone's show.
Right.
Let me say this about Jim. He's supported me. I first walked into this studio, how many years ago? Not even this studio, your old house.
The old place.
The old place. It's got to be, 15 years ago
that
at
was
least?
The late 90s.
The late 90s.
Mid-90s.
I walked in. I had a VHS tape in my hand, and I wanted you to duplicate it for me so I could send it to Billy Graham. That's what it was. I don't know if you remember that or not, but that's what it was for.
I don't recall that.
Yeah, it was for Billy Graham because I was working with the Billy Graham Ministries at the time. But anyway, I didn't have the capacity. You had about 15 VHSs, which you just got rid of here recently because they were still in this office until just this week. You cleaned them out. What'd you do with those old VHS?
Well, I still do some duplications, but I can't. They're stacked.
So people use VHS tapes still?
People still need transfers, yeah.
Okay, all right. But anyway, Jim has supported me along the way. He just makes this amazing studio available to me, which is part of his house. He built this. It's kind of his man cave, right?
Yeah.
You got parties that happen in here. You have podcasts. You have band practice. You have video games. What's the game you're playing right now? I know there's a big one that just launched, right? Some interactive.
Well, there's two big ones, Fortnite and PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
Okay.
But Fortnite's probably the younger crowd, the high school, junior high.
Okay.
Especially. That's the one that has been huge with like Drake playing on live streams, and I think they got over 500,000 concurrent viewers watching. So it's a major media event when
So
these
that guy's
guys,
like a billionaire now, right? Off of that game. That's what I heard just yesterday. Someone was talking about it. His son plays Fortnite. It's a free game, but they sell inside the game. They sell you stuff, right?
Yeah, Fortnite. They're making in range of $150 million per day.
Come on, God.
And it's a free game, so it's people buying cosmetic, like a jacket or something
Or
that
a
they
dance,
can put on.
so you could dance over someone when you kill them or something like that.
Cosmetic.
Yeah, like the loser dance, someone jumping up. That's genius, man. How old is the guy that created that game?
I'm not sure.
I think he's a young guy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to figure he's certainly not our age. I wouldn't
But even
imagine.
the guys playing it and just streaming their gameplay are getting huge amounts of cash because they get subscription money
Oh,
when people subscribe to their channel.
okay. So it's almost
It's a cash
network
cow
marketing.
all around.
It's almost like a multi-level kind of a deal in a way,
Right.
because you're attracting other people to play, and so you're benefiting from that person's exposure to the game and then whatever they're spending. Pretty smart, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've never been a gamer. I don't know much about that. I mean, my gaming skills go Tetris. That's about the limitations of my gaming skill is Tetris. But that's a good game, and my wife beats me in Tetris all the time. But that's it for me. But every once in a while, when I'm here in the studio, I'll hear some random person pop up on the computer. Yeah, you out there today? And I'm like, what the hell is that, man?
Yeah. It's fun.
Yes. So Jim, you've like I said, you've supported me in my career and everything that I've done for a long time. You've kind of watched this evolution of the things that I've been doing, and I just got to tell you, I really appreciate you and your family and all that you've done. And it's really important in life that we surround ourselves with people who are going to, one, bring the best out of us, believe in us, encourage us, and support us. And you've always done that for me. So I just want to publicly say that right now, that I appreciate that and I respect the hell out of that, because there's no reason. And I think the real reason is, back when we met all those years ago, for whatever reason, maybe you saw something in me. Maybe you believed in me, and you've seen the struggle.
Right.
You've watched.
Well, we've
the
done
struggle.
a lot of projects together over the years.
Dude, I've forgotten about the amount of projects that we've done. I'm sure you have too. As you go through hard drives in here, you're probably like, "Oh my God, I forgot we did that."
There are some good ones, some not so good.
It takes that, right? You got to go through the crap in order to get to the good stuff. But there are some really, really good infomercials that we've done, some videos, just some inspirational things. We've been hired to work together for other companies. So there's just a plethora of stuff out there. But I guess that's a message in and of itself for everyone listening, is the fact that, not everything you do is going to be a home run, right? And
That's true.
You don't know when your home run's going to come. I think it's all in timing, right? And it's all in God's timing, really, if we're getting down to the brass knuckles and the core of it all. So many people will look at my career and ask me, Clark, are you a multimillionaire yet? And they're amazed that I'm not. You know what I mean? They're wondering why it is that I haven't had this massive home run yet. And I believe it really is timing. I believe it is something that is left to me being ready for it. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on that, Jim, as far as what you've seen us doing together? And
Yeah, definitely being ready for, that's always been your philosophy in being ready for photo shoots.
Yeah.
It's like you were talking about how some of these other fitness guys, they'd say, "Oh, I need a month
yeah,
to get ripped,"
right,
and you were like, "I need to be ripped 24/7."
yeah.
Every day, so you can take the job right now.
I'm still doing that today. I'm ready right now. If a magazine called me today, I would be ready to shoot a cover of a magazine. But, covers don't exist. I mean, magazines are going away. That whole industry is dying because of,
Well,
there's still a few.
it's transitioning to, online media.
Right.
And that sort of, it's a different medium, but it's there.
It's there, but not like it was back in the day. I mean, there were a multitude of magazines, and it was easy to get on or in a cover or on a magazine or whatever. But, yeah,
Well,
it's changing.
Just like music. Music has totally changed from the whole album-based, big record deal to just getting a single that's downloaded. It's totally changed the dynamics.
You know what that means? We're getting old. It's funny to think about that, man, because how old are you now?
I'm 55.
Yeah, so you're 55. I'm right behind you. I'm going to be 55 in October. When you were 25, what did you think of a 55-year-old person?
Oh, ancient. Yeah.
And now how do you feel at 55?
Yeah, not it's you see it in a different perspective.
Yeah,
But it's
You do. I mean, it's a completely different perspective because mentally, I feel like I'm not even near 55. I mean, I come in here, I'm farting all the time and doing stupid stuff and acting like a kid. And I think that's part of the way to stay young is just kind of always be youthful in the way you approach life. But on top of that, I just don't feel in my mind like I'm a 55-year-old guy, especially how I looked at a 55-year-old guy when I was 20, 30 years old. It's crazy to think, man.
So what's the secret to staying
I think
to thinking that way?
to thinking that way is I think never taking yourself too seriously is probably one of the biggest things. What we see in life, our conversation change is one of them, right? We have friends now that are dying from heart attacks and random stuff that 25-year-old kids aren't having. So our conversations shift when we're on Facebook or when we're talking to each other. We say, yeah, well, so-and-so had a heart attack and I'm on this. I listen to people our age talking, and I don't want to be involved in those conversations. I exit as quickly as possible. So one of the keys for me is I like hanging around younger people. And you got a lot of kids, especially, with the
Right.
age of your kids that are coming through here and the things that you do for the schools and stuff. You're around younger people as well a lot. And that, to me, is a big key, man. Don't take yourself so seriously, man. Life is, it's too short to be, we're doomed. We'll never make it. What was that? The Lilliputians? Remember that cartoon? You don't remember? We're doomed. We'll never make it.
No, I
You don't remember
that.
And then the next thing I think is just, I was talking about this last night, and this is a conversation that you and I've had for years, as far as being in shape physically. When you get older, we start thinking of anti-aging, right? We start thinking of reversing the aging process and this sort of thing. But the reality is that is not possible. You cannot reverse the aging process. I can't go from 54 to 53. It just ain't possible. I did a video about this yesterday, and I posted it up on one of my Facebook pages. I said this, and I think this is vital, is we can create a physiological advantage over our chronological age. And we do that by a multitude of different things, right? The way we think, the way we speak, the food we eat, the activities we do, and how consistent we are with all of that. You can't do it one day and expect any kind of result. What are your thoughts on that?
Right.
Am I on
Well,
something?
it's I think the old adage of use it or lose it is the biggest thing we can do is just keep being active and pushing yourself. That's and I think that's a lot of the reason people follow you, because you are an inspiration to someone that is pushing themselves beyond, pushing the envelope. And I think that having that influence of someone that is doing that is good for you, good for me, good for, a lot of people that are listening to this. They need a little push in their lives.
Yeah, we all do. There's a scripture in the Bible that says iron sharpens iron like a brother sharpens a brother, right? We have to have, and that's why I said it at the beginning of this podcast, that you are one of the people in my circle that encourages me to constantly be doing what it is that I feel I've been called to do. And I really do, honestly, I mean, that's my goal in everything that I do, is to be that person that hopefully gives that encouragement to people, not even those that are pushing themselves, but those that have given up on themselves. I think more importantly than anything else, I really feel that my calling has shifted in the fitness industry, especially to people who have given up. I mean, imagine a lady in the middle of Iowa somewhere who has no clue what it is to quote unquote eat clean or even exercise. I've always made the mistake of assuming that people have this innate knowledge and understand what it is to live a healthy lifestyle.
Right.
That's not true, man. The more I get exposed to people in this country that we live in, the more I realize that it's very regional as to what people are conditioned to know and think.
Well,
You know what I mean?
and just misinformation, wrong information. I feel like I've been a victim of misinformation, getting me in a bad situation. I'm trying to come out of it, but things were pretty bleak, and I'm in a process of improving.
So let's talk about that for a minute. When I first met you, you were smoking how many packs of cigarettes a day?
Probably not quite, about 2 packs.
So 2 packs a day. I remember walking into that office and just seeing ashtrays full of cigarettes, and it was smoke smelling there. And, my immediate knee-jerk response was just to say, hey, dude, quit smoking. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I didn't know you. But, I mean, the more we got to know each other, I did start saying that. But then you did. You just one day cold turkey quit smoking. And then I started noticing you had gum and stuff in here, or lollipops or whatever, to have that, I guess, an oral fixation to stop. So what was the key for you to stop smoking? How much willpower, what did it take for you to stop a 2-pack a day habit?
Well, I mean, it was disaster for, other aspects. I basically traded one addiction for another and just ate myself into gaining a huge amount of weight gain. So I think there are some people that just simply have addictive personalities, and
I think we all do.
suppose that I'm one, and it's just you hear people talk about, they're addicted to exercise,
Right.
which would be, a great addiction to have. But I don't know. It's been there's been some trade-offs.
Okay. So when we first met back then, how much did you weigh and how much weight did you put on after you started smoking cigarettes? And how long did that process take?
I probably gained at least 100 pounds.
Really? From the first day I met you, you were 100 pounds lighter than what you are today.
Well,
I mean,
I'm
at
back,
your highest.
right?
At your highest.
Oh, maybe more like 130 pounds.
Damn. Wow. And the thing about it is it creeps up on you so gradually, because I didn't even recognize that gain over the years. I mean, we don't hang out every day.
It was like a 10-year period. Yeah.
So let's keep that in mind and put this in perspective for people who are interested in losing weight, because here's the deal. And this is me speaking from massive amounts of experience and talking with people. People expect to get results overnight when it took you 10 plus years to slowly let 130 pounds creep on your body. And it came from trading one addiction for another. So guys, listen to this. I want you to start really thinking about your life. And I see that there are people watching right now who I know for sure are struggling with this exact same topic that Jim and I are talking about right now, because I know you too. So I want to see comments coming up on here, because we want to answer these questions for you. So if you can make it so I can see whatever comments are coming up. But guys, it's vital to understand that it's not something that's going to happen for you overnight. Whatever comments are coming up. There we go. Okay. That's all right. I'm not going to worry about that so much. Whatever's happening there is happening. Go ahead and click on it again. Let's see what happens. See if it shows up. That's all right. I'm not going to worry about that so much. Whatever's happening there is happening. Go ahead and click on it again.
We're like in a time warp here.
Yeah, we're in a time warp. Okay,
All
it's
right.
still going live. So, okay, now it's really interesting to me because when I look at your family, and we've had this conversation before, out of the 4 kids you have, they're divided straight down the middle as far as body types go.
Yeah.
You have 2 that are very thin, right? And 2 that are built more, a little heftier.
Right.
So, we go back to this whole concept of whether it's genetics or environment.
My kids were all fed the same thing. It's not that we fed one differently. They just one was blessed with, high metabolism, and the other's not.
Yeah, so that goes back to this whole genetic thing. Then
I do think there is a huge amount of genetic outcome.
Yeah.
Not just your environment. Although I think you can overcome a lot of genetic disposition by, eating right and exercise and all those things. But it's gonna be a struggle. And some people will have a struggle.
Right.
There is no easy fix.
So then with this idea of genes versus environment, I think it's very important for anyone who's listening to put that in perspective as far as what they want their outcome to be and what they're picturing themselves to look like, right? Because you fed your kids exactly the same way. Because of genetic predisposition, they look differently, and if the thicker ones dieted down, they would probably never look like the thinner ones. They would just be a different version of what they currently look like. So it'd be unfair for them to say, I want to look like my sister. Mm-hmm. Or it's no fair that I don't look like my brother. You follow what I'm saying? So we set ourselves up for failure by having this preconceived notion and idea and example or picture in our mind of what we think or what we want to look like at the end of a diet, So don't set yourself up for failure by picturing yourself a certain kind of way. I watch one of Clark Bartram's videos, and I always take away something from it. Oh, that's very cool, Kathy Gregory Miller. This one I think is going to be really huge for a lot of people to really listen to, because I'm talking to a man here who I've watched do. How many different diets have you done over the course of time that we've known each other?
No, we've been on, Nutrisystem. I've done Jenny Craig. The big commercial ones.
Right.
Just a lot of different things.
I've given you pills. I've given you products. We've done certain things. You've cut out carbs. You've done this. You've done that. You exercise all the time. You're always taking your dog for a walk. You had a spell where you were swimming for a long time. You still swimming?
No, not right. I'm about to get back into it.
Okay. So what are you doing
just
for
doing
exercise? Give me a breakdown of what your day looks like today. Forget all the stuff in the past. Let's talk about now.
Just going for walks.
Okay.
Taking the dog for walks.
All right.
Basically. So
are you monitoring those walks? For example, we have cell phones, and if I go on here right now, so you got a Fitbit?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you take more steps today than you took yesterday, or did you at least equal the steps that you took yesterday?
I don't even know. Well, today is not good. I've only got 1,000.
Okay, and you need to get 10,000. So you're 9,000 in the hole.
Yeah.
So here's really what I want everyone to understand, guys. We have so much technology available to us, and I'm not saying that Jim needs to do more than he's doing right now, but what I'm saying is that what Jim is doing, he really needs to understand if he's doing that consistently enough. And there's really no reason why he can't measure that, because he's got a watch on his arm which will measure every movement he makes, which at the end of the day will, without him asking, will say, you reached your goal today. You missed your goal by X amount of steps. So ignorance is no longer an excuse for not doing the things that we know we should be doing. So this brings us to the next topic. I'm too busy, right? I have so much going on. It's about perspective here, and I'm only using Jim as an example because he's right here, and he's someone who I've had this conversation with more times than I could tell you guys. But there are so many people who are listening right now who are in the same boat that will say, I am too busy, or I had too much to do. I guess the question I have for anyone is, what is more important? You know what I mean? Is cleaning up the back of this office more important than going out and getting your steps in for the day? You know, you have to ask yourself that question day in and day out. So we got to stop telling ourselves that we're too busy. We got to stop. And look, I am not an exception to that rule. I'm going to be really completely brutally honest right now. I hate working out. I am so over it. I am so tired of it. It takes everything in me to get up and go to the gym. Even though I have a gym in my garage, I won't get up and use that because I am sick and tired of working out. So I have to have this conversation with myself of what is more important to me? My excuses, my laziness, my, lame reasons of I'm too busy, or do I really want to be that example that everyone thinks that I am? Because I'm not always that guy. We're all humans.
Yeah, but you still do it.
Well, today I didn't do it to the level I need to do it at.
Okay.
And that goes back to me saying, did you measure your steps today? I went and did a lame bicep, tricep workout. I mean, I got a pump. But I compare myself to my buddies, Mike O'Hearn, Mike Ryan, all of these beasts, and I'm like, I'm nothing compared to these guys. I watched a movie on the CrossFit Games yesterday, a documentary on Netflix. I couldn't compete against a teenage girl in the CrossFit Games in place. That's not even a joke. So everyone thinks that I'm this super, just perfect guy that I never miss. Listen, people, I am going to be real right now. I am lazy. I am tired of working out, and I am living right now off of genetic potential and a whole lot of years of putting work in. So I'm living on a surplus right now of the genetics and the environment in which I placed myself. So I'm fortunate in that regard, and I'm not going to let myself get that far out. I know when to say when, you know what I mean? And I know when to pull it back in. But I only said all of that to say, don't be so hard on yourselves, man. Look, you're a human. You have real reasons. They're not all excuses. We do get busy, and we do get lazy, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what is wrong is when we allow it to make us sick, when we allow it to affect our lives in a way that causes us to be on prescription drugs or be doing things that we know are not really healthy for us in the long run. Because the reality is we only have one body. And you've heard me quote Sally a million times. I'll quote her till the day I die. She said, Clark, this is the body that God gave me, and I'm going to live in it healthy. And that does not mean that you're going to look like a supermodel. It doesn't mean you're going to look like a fitness model or a bodybuilder or any of that. You could go to the doctor today, and he could say, Jim, you checked out like an 18-year-old. Good for you. Keep up doing whatever you're doing. The external, manifestation is not always a representation of what is actually going on. Anyway.
Right. I mean, hell, it's a lot of people have struggles, and we don't even know what their struggles are. I've been struggling with type 2 diabetes, and that's I'm basically got it under control. My A1C is back down to 5.6, which is I think it's still in the pre-diabetic stage, but barely, which is good. I mean,
good compared to where you were a few months ago.
Oh, I was up in like a 10 something.
So you brought it down by half.
Oh, yeah.
How?
I guess. I don't know if it's calculated that way, but it's
right.
It's the blood sugar reading over a period of time. Anyway.
How did you bring it down? They have you on medication, or?
They tried to. The medication was getting me crazy hungry and, they tell you not to eat, sweets. But I was compensating by just carb loading with, the bread, whole grain bread.
Yeah.
Dave's Killer Bread, which is, supposedly good carbs,
Right.
and there is no such thing. So I've gone to a low carb, high fat diet, which is,
and that's working for you good?
I'm down. I've been off that injectable insulin, and I've gotten to, off of that. I'm about 30 pounds under my peak.
Give yourself some applause on that. Go on that soundboard and give yourself some applause right now. He got off the insulin. He's down 30 pounds from. Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
And so I had some issues with atrial fibrillation, which is an uneven beating of the heart. Your heart.
Did you feel that, or did you have that discovered in a treadmill test?
I didn't have a great. I kind of knew something was not right, but it was not something that I was. There's just little flutters that you would kind of feel once in a while, because it really sounds like your heart is like a drunken sailor kind of stumbling around. Sometimes it beats real fast and then it misses, and it's crazy. So I attribute the keto diet to helping me get off of the blood thinners and they call them rhythm medications, and I'm back in full normal heart health. So
that's awesome, man. So look, that's an example right there of the things that we can do to the body. Really wants to reward you by the behavior that you're showing it, right? If you're treating the body horribly, it's going to give you a horrible response after a certain period of time. I believe the human body is so resilient, it's so adaptive that it's going to fight, but then eventually it's going to go, you know what? F you too. F you too. Heart, doom. Blood sugar, boom. Kidneys, boom. All these systems are going to shut down that really want to work for you. But when you start doing the necessary things and start saying, okay, I understand, I respect you, I'm going to do the things, it's going to, okay, great. Just like having an argument with someone and you reach out and you shake their hand, you look them in the eye and go, you know what, my bad, let's make this right. We can have that handshake with our body and say, my bad, let me make this right, and then you adjust your behavior accordingly, and your heart's going to start beating correctly, your blood sugar is going to get in line, and all of the functions that we caused to go off by our own behavior are going to start thanking us and saying, let's get this right. I've seen people come back from the most horrible situations just by changing the way they eat. Mm-hmm. It is so basic and so simple, but we overcomplicate it because what do? We jump on the internet and we start typing in, what can I take for this? What can I take for that? Stop doing that, people. What can you do? You can start changing the way you're eating. Hippocrates.
And it's not one size fits all either.
No.
I think there are definitely, I'm an advocate now of the keto diet or a low carb diet, but there are people that handle carbohydrates perfectly fine and are healthy.
I'm one of them.
And I was not a person that could handle the carbs, and I used to be able to when I was younger, but you reach a point where you've exceeded your capability to deal with it, and you get this insulin resistance going up, and suddenly it's just a state of chaos, and you start gaining a crazy amount of weight, and there's only the doctors want you to stay slightly sick.
Slightly sick. They want you to stay extremely sick.
They want you to put you on the insulin and keep you from outright dying. But the path, I go to an endocrinologist, and the path that they want you on increases. It's a steady increase of more medications, more insulin as you go. And you will never come back. You will always be under the boom of the type 2 diabetes.
So let's talk about that for a second. The average doctor. So you go to your endocrinologist, right? Hormone doctor, and they're there to help you, heal the endocrine system, which controls every function of your body, right? Mm-hmm. So when you went to the doctor and you talked to them, you mentioned different paths. There's the path of, okay, Jim, let's talk about the food you're eating and let's put you on a plan and keep you on that course for X amount of time and let's see what happens. Or, Jim, there is this insulin that we can put you on that's going to help regulate your blood sugar and do all of these different things. Let's put you on that right now and get you fixed right away. What happened when you went to the doctor? Did they give you the clear path of nutrition and give you enough of a chance to heal yourself first?
Nutrition had nothing to do with what they wanted to do. It was always immediately inject the insulin.
Not even a discussion of what you were eating.
Well,
I mean,
it's like, stop eating, sugar.
Yeah.
The sweets. No mention really of, the huge amount of pasta and bread.
So you were not at the risk of dying.
potatoes.
This was not a matter of life and death when you went in there at that point, right? I mean, it wasn't mandatory that they got you on insulin right away.
Well, they felt it was.
They felt it was.
And a lot of my indicators of blood sugar and things had been steadily increasing.
Okay. But still, only... And why? You know what I mean? It's because of the behaviors. It's the food you were eating, right? There are other things like stress that play into that sort of thing, especially with the hormonal system. Well, sleep is a direct result of stress. If you don't sleep enough, you get stressed. If you're stressing, you don't sleep enough. So it's a double-edged sword that my belief, now let me go ahead and throw out a disclaimer here. If you were truly dying and they said this is a life, and then, yeah, I agree with that. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that probably wasn't the case.
Well, I think that insulin, if you need it, you have to take it.
Oh, of course.
If your blood sugars are at that level, the most important thing is to get that under control.
Okay, so let's talk about that then. So now,
I did not just I'm off the insulin. I was going up and up and up.
Right.
In the level of insulin I was taking, and insulin is really the key to your body creating new fat storage. It tells your body to take this fat and store it, long-term storage. I mean, insulin is a big part of what happens there. And the insulin, I'm convinced, I was high already in my weight, and I was going just out of control because of the insulin.
Yeah, and that is actually supposed to help you. So, okay,
Well, it was controlling my blood sugar,
right, but it was still affecting.
But the thing, I'm convinced it was making me crazy hungry,
mm-hmm.
and and the fat, it was making me fatter.
Yeah. So when you got to the point where your blood sugar was under control, did that conversation come up about nutrition then? Like, hey, Jim, okay, we got this under control now. If you start eating right, maybe we can get you off this stuff.
That was completely my
So the doctor didn't say that.
I read a book, is Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It, by Gary Taubes.
Okay.
And that book just kind of flipped me 180 in thinking about what causes people to get obese and what the nutritional elements are to be able to change your direction.
That's a really good book. I have it on audio and I listen to it when I'm on the airplanes, and it really is something that I think a lot of people should at least look into and educate yourself, right? Because here's the bottom line of what we're talking about here. There's an agenda that doesn't always include your best interest out there, I believe, especially in this whole medical community and big pharma and all that sort of stuff. And we're not going to get into any kind of conspiracy theories here, but it doesn't put you first. And unless you put you first and start educating yourself, not just a Google search, because that can scare the hell out of you sometimes.
Yeah.
But actually really investigating specifically what it is that you're dealing with. And try and find these answers for yourself, because we just heard one example, and I can't imagine this is not the only one, of a doctor not even touching the tip of the iceberg as it relates to food and what food can do.
And nutrition is huge in our entire well-being, right?
It's
I mean,
everything.
how could an endocrinologist not, discuss nutrition? And she was very adamant that I not come off the insulin. And I'm saying I'm on the keto diet. My blood sugars have been at this level. I'm coming down. And when I got to a certain point, I just said, and I okayed it with her. So my blood sugars are now at this level. I test 4 times a day my blood sugar levels, and I didn't need it.
How do you feel right now compared to?
The problem is the keto diet is extremely difficult unless you're if I was isolated or just with a group of people that were
keto.
all on keto.
Yeah.
It's the someone has some, I don't know, breaded chicken or something.
You
it's
smell
like,
some fresh baked bread, you're eating it.
No,
I'm just saying,
don't-
generally
yeah,
speaking,
it's
you know
hard
what I mean?
not
It's
to.
hard not to. So that brings me to this whole point that I've been harping on lately here about sustainability. When you're talking about these programs that are out there, now I would never disagree with somebody who said, look, Clark, I've lost 30 pounds, I got off the insulin, and I did it on a keto diet. I would be foolish to go, well, that doesn't make, I'd be as bad as the doctor.
Well,
at that
it's not
point.
for everyone either.
It isn't.
It's not.
Because
I don't believe anything is one, fits every person.
No, remember when we had Dave Sanchez in here and he looked at Jeremy and said, Jeremy, you were an ism when I first met you. You were vegetarianism, paleoism, veganism. You were all these isms. So while I respect people's discipline to do those isms and live a life a certain way, like you just said, I don't think any one of those single ways of living is the only way you should go. You go back to the old adage where you take the fish and leave the bones. Maybe keto will not always be, but you will find some carbs that your body agrees with that you can start implementing and bring it into this. So if you did the 80-20 rule, for example, you were 80% keto and 20% not. So you're not necessarily an ism, you know what I mean? You are living a lifestyle that you personally, based upon your experiences and the way you feel and your checkups, are okay. When you might look at a real ketoist and they go, well, that's not truly keto. Like I did a YouTube channel or a YouTube video the other day. This girl was talking about, I'm a vegan, I'm a vegan, I'm a vegan, I'm a vegan. Cameras come on. She goes, well, I eat eggs and meat if it's... I said, you're not a vegan then. I can't believe you just said that. You're not a vegan. And she looked at me like I was an asshole. Oh, I got to check that box. There it goes. And I said, well, you're not. You're not. You just said you eat eggs and meat. So that, so I guess my point in saying that is we don't need to identify as anything other than a healthy human being in whatever it is that you do based upon your experience and you're educating yourself is what you do for you. And that's all that really matters, man. So that's why I'm getting off my high horse and saying, look, like you said, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and we all really need to take, and this is a point I want to make as it relates to your doctor. Listen, you have the right to tell your doctor, listen, I want to try first, before I get on this medication or this insulin or this whatever, I want to try first to see if I can fix this through
or in
nutrition.
conjunction. So
Yeah. Or,
let them know your plans that you want to try a low carb diet, and concurrently reduce some of the medications you're on, because it's a balancing act. It can be dangerous going either too high or too low on your blood sugars.
Oh, 100%. And I'm talking in general. Look, you have to take your doctor's advice. They know better than I know. I'm not a doctor. This is not replacing any medical advice. But what I am saying is you have the right to tell your doctor, listen, is it okay if I don't do this right now? Am I at risk of dying? And if I'm not, can I try and fix this on my own? This is what I'm going to do, just so you know and you're aware of it. I did that the other day with my PSA. About 6 months ago, I went in, my PSAs were elevated, and I knew, based upon my lifestyle, that there were certain things that I was doing that was raising my PSA, and he immediately wanted to put me on a drug. I'm like, Doc, and I have this kind of relationship with him. He's like, well, do you want me to do a prostate exam? I'm like, no, I'd rather not have you stick your finger up my butt right now. You know what I mean? And he'll go, okay. So I love my doctor, and he spends so much time with me, and I'm able to have these real conversations with him and tell him, no, I don't want to get on that. At least let me try. He goes, okay, Clark, you have 3 months. Your next doctor's appointment, I'm going to give you the opportunity to do it yourself. Mm-hmm. I came home. I took certain nutritional supplements. I cut out energy drinks and things that I knew were affecting me in a negative way. And I went back in, PSA perfect. Bam. And he's like, what did you do? And I'm like, that's how he sounds. What did you do? I said, I did this and that and the other thing. He said, well, I didn't think that energy drinks really had anything to do with the prostate. And I know. I don't know for certain, but I know that they do. Because if I take too many stimulants, I can tell that my prostate is affected. I know my body that well. And I immediately cut that stuff out. And I fixed it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that is the key. You got to know your body. You have to be aware of what is going on in your body, and you can't take somebody's, advice as the gospel all the time. You have to be aware of what is going on and take control of your own life, man.
Well, I don't know how you've been doing those energy drinks for so long. I stopped being able to do that a long time ago.
Really?
Well, you feel it. I mean, I think it's really bad for your heart.
It is bad. And you know what?
I mean, to just amp you up.
Yep. Yep. I'm going to be honest here, and I'm going to go out and tell everyone the truth. I've struggled with that for a long time. You talked about every one of us is an addict to a degree. I've been addicted. I'll never forget when Ephedra first came out. There was a Gold's Gym.
Diet medication.
Yeah, but it was just in a nutritional supplement. It was, remember the Gold's Gym on Montiel?
Yeah.
I walked in there, and a buddy of mine who owned the gym, I will leave him nameless right now, but he walked in and he said, hey, have you ever tried this before? And I'm like, what? And it was Ephedra. And I popped in Ephedra. I felt it in my nasal passages. Man, everything opened up, and I had so much energy. And from that day, in 1990 or whatever, I was stuck on that stuff in one form or another, whether it's an energy pill, whether it's a Monster drink or some kind of supplement like that. And I still, to this day, struggle with it. I can get off of it for 5-6 months, but when I get back on it again, I'll take an energy pill, I'll drink a Monster, I'll do all this sort of stuff, man.
So what are the triggers when you want to do some of that?
I don't know if I have a trigger as much as I enjoy the response, right? A lot of drug addicts do drugs because they enjoy the response. Heroin addicts love the heroin high. People who smoke
pot. Yeah, but there's
pot,
a trigger. I mean, what's happening in your life when that?
I don't know if I can identify it specifically. Maybe it's stress. Maybe it is me, like, missing that feeling. We want green on the computer here. You want to wake it up? There we go. I don't know what the trigger is. Maybe it's some lack in me. I don't know, but I do know that the excuse that I make for myself is I'm so busy. I got so much going on, and this really helps me, blaze through this stuff.
It's like free energy.
Yeah. And I'm a hypocrite. I'm a flat out, straight up hypocrite in many ways, man. And that's why I don't want people to put me on a pedestal like I'm the, the measurement of what it is to be a certain kind of way. Because I'll be honest, man, genetics are the biggest part of why I look the way I look. I mean, I've lived a lifestyle. I mean, I'm a disciplined guy, right? But I'm also a lazy guy. I could stop doing energy, and you know what? Here's what I'm going to do right now. And I've been told never to do this in a public setting, but I'm going to stop that now. You know what I mean? Because I had an energy drink today and an energy pill today. I did 2 forms of energy. And I think I am feeling it in my body to a degree. I am starting to notice, like...
It might, give you some fatigue.
Yeah.
As you come off of it.
Oh, there's definitely adrenal fatigue that I will experience. Maybe not right now, because I just came off of that, 25-day fruit and vegetable fast that I did, which included no stimulants at all, no coffee, no nothing. And I slept for 2 days. Every time I felt tired, I took a nap. So I was allowing my body to reset, and I was allowing my adrenals to recover. Because, like I said a minute ago, your body will recover if you treat it right. But your body will also fight you because you're affecting the adrenals by giving it so much stimulation. The body can only run on freaking red RPMs for so long. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest, man. I run my stuff on red because I'm constantly going. I feel guilty if I'm not going hard. I really do. So maybe that's my trigger. Maybe I feel like I need to push myself harder. Maybe I feel like I need to always be this, I guess, fake example of what people want me to be. Maybe there's pressure in my life.
I think there's sometimes you need to just not perform 110%, You need to be able to dial it back periodically.
Yeah, I have a lot. I don't know if guilt is the right word, but I don't know what it is, man. And here's something else I'll admit to, that I oftentimes expect people to operate at the same speed that I operate, and I'll offend people. By that, my wife, my kids, my business partners, regular people. If you ask me to do something, I'm going to do it right now. Right now, I get it done because I hate having stuff left undone. So I get it done. So my expectation that is, if I ask somebody else to do something,
that they do it right now.
That they do it right now. And if they don't, I'm like, what the? Are you serious? And then I start playing these conversations in my own head of, I can't even believe that they didn't do this yet, and I've done X, Y, Z for them. So I have this mental conversation with myself, and it drives me nuts. And I can get so... And I just had it happen the other day. I have some business partners, and some things went down, and I let them have it. I told them, I'm like, dude, seriously? I mean, there is some expectations that we should all measure up to. I'm not letting people off the hook 100%, but I do realize I had a mentor in my life years ago. I thought about him today. He said, Clark, you got to always realize that, things on your priority list are not the same on other people's priority list. You're not at the top of their list. Right. And that's hard for me to...
It kind of reminds me of when I've heard of people that struggle to gain weight. I'm like, dude,
yeah,
that I am the expert at gaining weight. It is the easiest thing in the world. I could help you.
Right.
But, for you, that whole getting things done now, it reminds me, too. You keep saying that you're lazy, but it's sort of a dichotomy because you get so much, you do so much. And then it reminds me of, I think it was Henry Ford that said, if you want something done efficiently, ask a lazy person to do it because they'll figure out the easiest way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I always figure out the wrong way.
Maybe that's your secret. You're looking for the most efficient way to do everything.
Yeah, so I need some help. Any lazy people out there that want to help me figure out how to do things better? Yeah, I'll get to that point in my life where, I can chill some. But I don't know if I'll ever chill, honestly, man. Like, I'm anxious right now to go do the next thing.
Right.
I'm already thinking about, like, I got a bunch of shirts I want to go home and make.
Yeah, CBT's blowing up, man.
It is, man. Yeah, go to clarkstees.com and grab yourself a shirt. Why? Because you are awesome. This is one of the shirts right here. And this whole line just is kind of a line extension of my brand. And my brand, Clark Bartram, is, years ago, I remember I had a marketing company said, hey, what is it you want to do? Can you give me a couple words about you that will help us create your mission statement or your purpose statement in life? And so I came up with mine on my own based upon that conversation. And it is, to positively and powerfully affect everyone I come into contact with. And that's part of what CBTs is about, is I want to put messages out in the world that look cool, right? That are on great clothes that feel good on your body, but also say something awesome. Like, you can tell someone you're awesome without even opening up your mouth. They just read the shirt, and maybe it's going to affect someone in a positive way. So all of my shirts are designed with that idea in mind. All of them don't say you're awesome, but, they might have, at least to me, when I make it, it makes me feel like, this is super cool. And it'll, like I was wearing the Jim Kelly shirt that I made. It says, I'll be too busy looking good, in homage to Enter the Dragon, the Bruce Lee film. I was in the airport the other day, and I see this guy looking at me, and I was on the phone doing business as usual. And this guy's smiling, and my ego is like, oh, he must recognize me from, something, right? I'm like, I'm a celebrity. And this guy walks over, and he says, dude, where'd you get that shirt, man? That is the most awesome shirt ever. That's Jim Kelly, and I love Enter the Dragon. I watched it 100 times. And I'm like, I didn't even realize I had that shirt on. But it brought this guy so much joy, man. He was so happy, and I'm like, go to Clark's Tees. If I could have, I would have taken it off my back and given it to the guy right there. But I didn't. I could have if I wanted to, but I didn't want to walk around the airport with no shirt on.
Haven't you released your I Pooped Today line?
That was years ago. That's what really
started.
started.
That's what I thought you were going to do when you started the T-shirt company.
that whole thing, I wore a shirt, wanted to say I pooped today, and so many people commented on it. So I was making up designs, running over to T-shirt Mart, having Judy make them, and then reselling them. And I thought to myself, well, if I cut out the middleman, Judy at T-shirt Mart, big shout out Judy at T-shirt Mart, I can make more money.
Right.
And so I invested a lot of money into that printer. I mean, that thing's expensive, So when Taylor moved out, I was like, okay, Anita's like, well, let's put a guest room in here. I was like, Anita, when was the last time we had a guest stay overnight at this house? Most people don't want to sleep, and they would rather sleep in a hotel. So you can be naked, whatever you're going to do. Take a bath, relax, watch whatever you want on TV. So I said, no, man, I want an income-producing, I want this house to generate money. But more importantly than that, for me, it is a creative outlet, and it is an energy. It's a way for me to get out a lot of different forms of energy that I have. One, it's creative. Two, I can get on there and I can do a live and have people watch the process. People enjoy that. So I'm talking to people. I'm creating something. I'm sweating in that hot room, and I'm just having a blast. It really is a great mental outlet for me to get rid of some of the, I guess, anxiety and some of what is built up in my mind, throughout my life.
Well, you're doing it legitimately. That's when you first got this crazy big machine, man, I was not sure because the technical side of it, but you dug in and figured out all those things like, the humidity level and the things that you're doing with just keeping that thing running. I know you just recently had some technical issues, and
I got to replace the dampers today. So $25 a piece. I had to buy 8 dampers. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to sit down and watch the video on how to replace those. I'm going to go step by step, and I'm going to do that. And for those of you who know me, you know that I am not Tim the Toolman Taylor. I hate putting stuff together. I don't like that. But I believe it's what I need. And this machine actually has been a great teaching tool for me to do that sort of stuff, to, because I don't want to waste, $20-something thousand on this really expensive deal. And it was funny because today I was doing a live and a guy commented, he's like, man, I can get my Epson printer to print on paper right. You know what I mean? And that made me feel good because I have taken the time necessary to really, and I was hoping that Mitch was going to do it. But I believe God had a bigger plan for me in store. It's like, no, you're going to figure this out because this is a lesson that you really need in your life of how to slow down, how to take, and be patient, not get frustrated, and throw the hammer through the wall and do all the things that you used to do in the past when you were trying to build something. Mm-hmm. If I build something in my house, everyone dips. They're like, we're out of here. Dad is building something, and it's not going to be good. You know what I mean? But this printer's been great. So I appreciate that you recognize that, because it is a stretch for me.
Yeah.
And I love when people buy the shirts, man. That just brings me so much joy when somebody gets that and they see. I put my heart into that. Yeah. Every step of that thing is my creation. Every bit of it. Man.
Well, the cool thing is, these guys that are asking for the Batman Dead End shirts. Oh, can you sign the shirt for me, Clark?
I got an order today. I got an order right now while we're here for one from Peter. Yeah.
How many guys can sign the shirts that they make?
And a photo as well. So I got it right here from Pedro. We got a Batman Dead End shirt, and I'm going to send him a photo as well. That's pretty cool. But on Sandy's post today, I don't know if you saw that, he posted up a Batman Dead End. Or it actually wasn't Dead End, it was just a Batman. And I told him, make a PNG file out of that, and I'll throw it on a shirt, man. These things come out really pretty amazing on a shirt. But anyway, I don't sell those. I give them away because, I couldn't sell
Probably
them.
Can't sell them.
Yeah. So that's beside the point. But look, man, we're not going to spend a whole lot more time here. I think that the information we brought you today was hopefully valuable to your life, and you can apply it in some sort of way. And more importantly than anything else, you allow yourself to be human. That's what I've done today. I've allowed myself to be a human by admitting my weaknesses and understanding that I'm not perfect and not expecting perfection out of me, but realizing that there's a lot of work that I need to do. And if I take my time and put in the work, my body's going to reward me. It's going to say, thank you, Clark, for respecting me. And I want to give you the best back if you give me the best. So that is all we got today for the Pants Off podcast. I want to thank my buddy Jim Brook of Providence Video Productions. Listen, if you're in the Escondido area or anywhere around and you need something done, an old VHS converted onto a DVD or any kind of video production, make sure you hit up Providence Video Productions. My man Jim will take care of you. You guys are awesome. I love you. Make it a great day.
You're listening to the Pants Off podcast with Clark Bartram and Jeremy Jackson. CBT's Performance Apparel, where fashion meets performance. Upload your custom design or grab the CBT's Deal of the Week at clarkstees.com. The podcast with CB and JJ is sponsored by Providence Video Productions in Escondido, California, providers of full creative, video, and audio production services. Utilizing state-of-the-art professional equipment for all your broadcast needs. Web page, embedded or live streaming videos and podcasts. Aerial drone videography. Music videos, 3D animation, studio and field production. Contact us at providencevid.com.